To start the show, we have a superstar town hall. The entire Raw roster surrounds the ring for a town hall led by, quote, locker room leader, maybe they should change that to locker room tweeter, Seth Rollins. Loud chants of CM Punk here. Seth Rollins says he tried to get him here, but he sat behind a desk in LA talking about change. He's too scared to come here and make himself. I think he's just trying to stay as far away from this shit show as possible, Seth. But either way, the crowd then chants NXT. Seth Rollins says NXT mopped the floor with Raw last night at Survivor Series, and he says he hates that. I mean, he's not wrong. NXT dominated Survivor Series proceedings, didn't they, last Sunday night? He says he hates to see what Raw has become, and it breaks his heart. Mine too, Seth, mine too. He says last night's Survivor Series, you all sucked, referring to the Raw roster. Crowd chants, you suck, back at him, followed by so do you. The Chicago crowd was absolutely all over Seth Rollins here. He says he believes in Monday Night Raw, and if anyone wants to speak up, then now is the time to. He asked Randy Orton first to speak up. He calls Randy Orton the weak link at Survivor Series. Bit of a shoot there, Seth. Instead of responding, Randy Orton walks off. Instead of saying anything, actually refers to Seth Rollins in hand signals as a wanker. The Americans listening might not know what that means, but Google it. But not safe for work. Seth says fine. He'll keep sticking his neck out for the brand. It's fine. He then calls out Charlotte Flair. Says she was the captain for her Survivor Series team last night, and she didn't even last the match. He says that she actually calls herself a Flair. Charlotte then walks out just like Randy Orton did. Seth Rollins then turns to AOP for not even showing up to Survivor Series. They respond, like the others, by just walking off. Seth Rollins then calls out Rey Mysterio. He says at Survivor Series, Rey Mysterio let all of us down. Seth Rollins says he beat Brock Lesnar twice this year. Rey couldn't even do it with a pipe and, quote, his stupid kid last night. This then gets loud asshole chants from the crowd. After this, the entire roster walks out. Just like Triple H. They did to Triple H back in 2011, just like the referees did back in the Attitude Era. Everyone's walking out. The only man left is Kevin Owens. And Seth Rollins calls Kevin Owens Mr. NXT. Rollins says this isn't about Seth Rollins. This is coming from his heart. He says he wants to have the best show on the planet. He says Kevin Owens just shows up and calls Kevin Owens a lazy piece of crap. He says that Kevin Owens just wants Seth Rollins' spot. He says that Kevin Owens will never be Seth Rollins. And I agree, he never will be Seth Rollins. Thank God. But Seth Rollins says this is just coming from a good place. However, Kevin Owens doesn't say anything to respond. He just stuns Seth Rollins and leaves. Now, what a segment this is. A lot to break down here. Was this Seth Rollins finally turning heel? Because if so, that was absolutely tremendous. I mean, they finally caved in, haven't they? The tweet slayer wasn't getting over as a face. The crowd hates him. Social media hates him. It would appear the only person that actually likes him at the moment is his girlfriend, Becky Lynch. Jim Ross certainly doesn't like him at the moment. And why not embrace it? I mean, why not embrace the moany, whiny person that Seth Rollins has seemingly become in 2019 and just let him become the top heel in the company? This is Seth Rollins. This is truer to Seth Rollins than the white meat smiling babyface saying he's going to win at all costs and he guarantees victory. This is the version of Seth Rollins that is money, because it would appear that this is the closest to the real Seth Rollins in 2019 that you can get. I mean, surely he has to be a heel. He can't be a babyface because he just pulled a Brock Lesnar and attacked Rey Mysterio's family. I mean, not physically, obviously, but sure as hell verbally. He called Dominic Mysterio's stupid kid to Rey Mysterio. I mean, after the story they've been telling about Rey Mysterio and his family in the recent months, attacking Dominic verbally has to make him a heel, doesn't it? And with Kevin Owens over with every crowd as a babyface, Rollins as a top whiny heel, Kevin Owens as your top anti-establishment babyface, that's money right there. I mean, let's run with it. I'm realistically thinking about it. I was thinking about it after I saw the segment. What choice do they have? This isn't... The reaction to Rollins isn't a Chicago thing. This goes beyond all of his stupid tweets about CM Punk recently. This is in every city. Seth Rollins just gets booed out of the building. At least with Roman Reigns and Cena, they had this respectability about their character on and off screen. They had this sense of dignity. But in 2019, especially in recent months, Rollins just comes across forced or maybe naturally as this whiny, false heel. His promos are cringy, and yes, I know that's the writing, but tonight was the best and first believable promo he's done in months. Because that's truly something he would say or how he would say it. And you know why? Because he's been saying this whiny, complaining shit on social media all the time in 2019. So embrace it. Go with it. And Rollins could be more over than ever. I mean, it can't be worse than what we've seen on Raw previously. But on to your main event. We have Kevin Owens versus Seth Rollins. Starts off with a sling blade by Seth Rollins to Kevin Owens. Rollins hits 2 suicide dives to Owens on the outside. Owens hits a super kick though. However, Seth Rollins grabs a steel chair in frustration, and then guess what, kids? We go to commercial. Because last week I was complaining on Raw about those shitty, dumb cliffhangers where they go to break and just pretend like we just have to assume that nothing happens. And that's what we had here. Seth Rollins got the chair. Is he going to do anything with it? Of course not. We come back to commercial and there's no mention of the chair again. It's just a dumb cliffhanger that doesn't make any sense. A cliffhanger you have to actually pay off, WWE. But of course they don't pay off anything apart from Brock Lesnar. Anyway, Kevin Owens goes for a senton, but Seth Rollins gets his knees up. Owens hits the cannonball. He goes up top, but Rollins rolls out of the ring. That doesn't matter though. Kevin Owens hits a rolling flip off the apron, followed by a frog splash for a 2 count. Rollins hits a blockbuster, followed by a Falcon Arrow for a 2 count. Rollins goes for the stomp. Owens for the stunner, but Rollins escapes. Owens then hits the pop-up powerbomb for a 2 count. The 2 trade super kicks between one another. Kevin Owens hits the stunner on Rollins, but is unable to capitalize. So that automatically starts ringing the bells of angle alert. And that's what we got. Out comes the AOP. Yes, the same AOP that Seth Rollins was running down earlier in the show, verbally. He's not Rikishi run down Steve Austin, I must say. The AOP then begins to attack Kevin Owens. They throw Owens into the ring post several times. The crowd was booing quite loudly during this. Not because I guess they were attacking Kevin Owens, but they just weren't. It appeared that they weren't happy with the sort of disqualification bullshit finish. But I wasn't with them on that one. Sometimes you have to facilitate the angle here. After attacking Kevin Owens. I'll get there eventually, kids. The AOP size up Seth Rollins. But the AOP just walk away and leave. Then with a prone Kevin Owens on the floor, the match is finished. Seth Rollins stomps Kevin Owens in the middle of the ring twice. I mean, surely he must be the heel now. Surely. That was strange. It was strange. I was almost sure that once AOP, just to be honest, as soon as the AOP came out, but then once they started attacking Kevin Owens, that we were going to get a AOP stable with Seth Rollins as the leader there. But Rollins played off that he wasn't too aware or sure of the reasons for their actions there. Regardless, there's no way that Seth Rollins isn't a heel now. I mean, with the bitching and moaning and burying of the babyfaces to start the show, he's now attacked the top babyface in Kevin Owens after he was attacked with not 1 but 2 stomps after the match. So, I mean, talk about being a heel there. But then, to be fair, Becky Lynch did attack Shayna Baszler after the bell last night on Survivor Series, so maybe she's a heel too. Maybe that's just logical WWE storytelling there. Anyway, it was refreshing to see AOP actually in person and not cutting these promos over and over again. So that's a welcome addition to the show. But it would appear that Seth Rollins is your heel and Kevin Owens is your babyface. If you think back to Survivor Series on Sunday, now they may have actually been planting the seeds here at Survivor Series. Kevin Owens did actually speculate if you could actually really trust Seth Rollins due to his history of deception and turning on people, considering Seth Rollins, of course, was the first person to turn on the Shield after all. So I wouldn't be so sure that Rollins isn't revealed to be the one who orchestrated AOP's attack on Kevin Owens here. And I think this is the best thing to happen in Seth Rollins in months. This is the most compelling his character has been for a long, long time. And to be honest, it's just about time. that WWE went with the audience and changed things on a dime. I'm absolutely sure, if you'd have asked WWE in August when Seth Rollins was main eventing and winning the Universal Championship at SummerSlam, defeating Brock Lesnar, I'm sure the long-term plans weren't originally to turn Seth Rollins heel. Obviously, he was slated to be the big white meat babyface of Raw for the long term, but the crowd just didn't want it and wasn't having it. Is this all his fault? Absolutely not. He's a victim of bad booking, bad writing, and being forced down the audience's throats, which doesn't work anymore in 2019. It might have worked in the 1980s, but times have changed. Okay, times have changed. But it's nice to actually have WWE listen and for once and actually change things up. I mean, Lord knows they need to if they're going to stop the slide of Monday Night Raw's dying ratings. And yes, I know before you say they increased last week the ratings, but year on year, WWE Monday Night Raw hemorrhages viewers. Okay, 2019 has been no different. They need to listen to their audience and shake things up. And turning Seth Rollins heel does just that.